Yo, what is up everyone? It is OJ over here from PlayerEssence.com. Welcome to the new segment that I have here for you guys. So today we're going to be talking about some pretty big stuff because Nintendo dropped their Q3 financials as far as lifetime sales for Wii U and Nintendo 3DS. And one system's looking okay, which I can pretty much guess what you guys can pretty much guess what that system is, and the other system not looking so good. So let's go over some numbers here laid out by Mr. Kimishima, Nintendo's president and CEO. Sales are down 3.9% for the April to December 2015 period year on year. However, operating profit is up 34.4%. Lifetime Wii U sales numbers are at 12.60 million. Lifetime Wii U software sales are at 79 million. Lifetime 3DS hardware sales are at 57.94 million. Lifetime Nintendo 3DS software sales are at 264.53 million. So just to go over some of those numbers here, guys, that is not bad for the Nintendo 3DS. Obviously, the system is doing okay. I don't think it's doing as well as Nintendo thought it would do compared to the Nintendo DS and even compared to the Game Boy Advance, although we don't know how much time is left in the Nintendo 3DS's lifespan as far as what Nintendo's going to pull out for it. It seems like they're getting towards the end of that. And of course, with the Wii U sales, those are just really bad. They're not very good at all. And I want to talk about this just a little bit because these numbers kind of show that Nintendo's fan base is dwindling a little bit, especially on the console side. I wouldn't even say a little bit. Their handheld fan base, I guess, is dwindling a little bit, but their console fan base is dwindling a lot of it. And I wanted to find out what is the reason why Nintendo's fan base is dwindling. And I really don't want to hear scapegoat answers, guys. So I don't want to hear marketing because I don't believe that marketing is the reason why Nintendo's fan base is dwindling. I don't think that is a legitimate excuse, nor do I think that that's a solution to the problem. Like say, oh, well, you know what? Let's just market our system better. I think there's things that are fundamentally wrong with how Nintendo conducted business with the Nintendo 3DS and with the Wii U. So I'm going to talk about those things at this point, and please give me your suggestions outside of marketing because I really don't want to hear marketing. Actual tangible things that Nintendo can appeal to more core users and get people back on board with Nintendo systems because Nintendo software is doing very well. Splatoon and Mario Maker have sold combined 7 million units in less than a year. That is fantastic for those type of games, especially Splatoon being a new IP selling over 4 million units. Mario Maker selling 3.34 million units. That is amazing, guys. And Nintendo, they know how to sell software. It's just selling more consoles so they can sell more hardware is the issue right now on both platforms. So let's talk about this a bit. I think there's one thing that Nintendo really needs to just make sure that they do with the Nintendo NX and going forward with any other platforms that they do is listen to the fans. I think there was one big thing that people really didn't want on the Nintendo 3DS, and that was friend codes. Like, people specifically said that they don't want friend codes. Please, no more friend codes. Begged for no more friend codes, and Nintendo still put friend codes on the Nintendo 3DS when they didn't have to. That was just something that they did because they already had the system in place, and I think that they just felt that they didn't have to, that they could do what they want because of how much the system sold. You can't do that anymore. I think in that instant, they lost fans. I think they lost fans from the DS. People just said, you know what, I'm done. I actually saw lots of articles, just people saying, I'm done with the Nintendo portables because of friend codes, because they really didn't want that. It made them so mad that Nintendo put friend codes on that system when people specifically said, begged for them not to do friend codes. And I really don't feel like hearing the whole protect the kids thing, guys, because at this point, it was 2011 back then, it's 2016 at this point. Friend codes are not needed. There's plenty of kids devices that are sold specifically to kids that don't have any type of friend codes. That's what parental controls are there for, guys. And remember, people are growing up. People that were my age are now having kids. It's not the other way around to where your parents didn't grow up with technology. Parents today grew up with technology. A lot of them grew up with NESs, Game Boys, things like that. My brother is almost 36. He's 35 or so. So if he actually had any kids, he grew up with all the technology everyone else has. Everybody has iPhones. Everybody has Androids. People have technology. It's not an excuse anymore to say parents just don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to use these devices. Not true anymore, guys. But outside of friend codes, I just think that the way that Nintendo conducts their systems sometimes is a problem. For example, the messaging systems in Nintendo 3DS 3DS as far as portability, interacting with friends, that's an issue as well, especially when you're comparing it to the competition, which at this point you can't deny Nintendo is competing against smartphones and tablets. Well, if you're competing against smartphones and tablets and a kid has an option that didn't grow up with Nintendo, so they're looking at these different games that you can play that are super cheap. They're looking at these games that are also in depth as well. They just have different controls because it's touchscreen, but they're looking at how they can interact with their friends. They're looking at how they can have achievements. They're looking at how they can have voice chat and different applications and all this cool stuff that you can do simultaneously while running a game. And they're looking at the Nintendo 3DS and they're saying, yeah, well, there might be games that are good that we all say, hey, these are great. They didn't grow up with them. So if you're looking at it from a kid's perspective, and especially with what their friends have, a tablet and a smartphone is very appealing, and it's shown to be very appealing. And if you continue to neuter your own systems, Nintendo, being that it doesn't have those type of features, you can't have voice chat, you can't message your friends quickly, you're going to have these wonky friend codes if you want to interact and do things. There's not going to be on-screen notifications. If you're not going to have stuff like that, you're going to find yourself in a whole competing against devices to just say, we have no problem making sure parents, or making sure to let parents know that they have to control what their kids are doing on these devices. You're going to get blown back because these other companies like Apple and these other tablet companies do not care. They're not going to intentionally neuter their own device for the sake of the kids when there's perfectly fine parental controls built right in there. So that's the one thing that I think going forward with the Nintendo handheld systems, that Nintendo just needs to say, hey, listen, parents, you can do this, you can have parental controls, we're going to show you videos how you can do this, and they need to just hope that parents can do that. And if there's any situations that arise, they need to make sure that they point to parental controls and being a good parent. Because my daughter has a tablet and I have parental controls on there. So it's just one of those things that people just need to be aware of. Nintendo needs to make sure that they fix as far as going forward. And I think that's some of the reasons why Nintendo is losing that battle with smartphones and tablets. As far as from a console's perspective, I think that Nintendo's Wii U was just a combination of issues. Yes, like I said, marketing, but outside of the marketing, which I think this is the bigger part. I think Nintendo didn't really take a firm grasp of what they wanted to do with the system. They had expensive add-on, which many people consider an add-on or a peripheral, which is the Wii U gamepad. And the reason why they consider it that is because it doesn't necessarily use its full potential in every single game. There are games where you don't need it for, and a lot of people, when they come home to play on a console, they don't want to play on a TV. They have their man caves, they have their big TVs, there's kids that have their own room. They're not worried about the TV being taken up because they have their own system and stuff to play on. For most people, they're going to put their systems in their rooms. They're not going to put their systems in their living rooms, and there's going to be multiple TVs. So that's one issue Nintendo going forward needs to address. They need to make sure that if they're going to do peripherals or extra different things, it shouldn't be necessarily 100% included in the package if every game's not going to take advantage of it to the fullest, because then people are going to feel that they're overpaying for stuff that they don't need. I also think another thing that Nintendo needs to overhaul, which I've talked about before, but I want to just discuss why Nintendo's fan base is dwindling, is obviously third-party support. But before we get into that, because I know some of you guys will say third-party support, I think the system itself. At this point, we've had over a decade of the PS3 and the Xbox 360, or near a decade of those two systems. And all of those systems do basic computing functions that are pretty easy to just pull up. You can easily go and see a message, you can easily send someone a message, you can easily talk to a friend, you can easily do certain things that just shouldn't really be a problem. But with Nintendo, what they've actually done is they've actually made a really nice and easy user interface with the Wii U, but they've made it complicated just to do basic tasks. For example, if you want to send a message, you have to boot up a whole nother thing just to send a message, and that friends list is organized different and looks different, and the layout is different from your actual friends list on your OS. And I think that's one of the big mistakes. It's very confusing. It's easy for people if you use the Wii U OS, but if you're someone else coming over from a Microsoft or Sony platform, you're like, well, why do I have two separate places with friends lists, and why is there only one place where I can send a message? Why is my friend list where I can basically do nothing from that friends list? All I can do is just see if a friend's online. And the problem also that comes with that is the staggering features. It's some games features more stuff that you can do with your friends list. For example, like Smash Bros. If someone's in a lobby by themselves for some reason, you can just force yourself into their game without letting them know or anything like that. Just say, I'm going to come into this game. You know, not every game features that though. Some of them you actually have to go into the game application and do that, whereas Smash Bros. You don't. So when there's a disjointed method of actual features and how to interact with your friends in different places, it creates confusion and it creates problems for many people who are coming over from different systems or who are looking into purchasing your system. Another thing that I also want to discuss with the Wii U is I just think features. That's one of the main things that people kind of don't understand. I guess more of the core Nintendo fans, they don't see it as much as features, but they just see the games. But features are actually really important for a lot of people in gaming. It's a social platform for them to talk to their friends, for them to do different things, for them to just basically interact with the community. And the problem with Nintendo is that there's not certain things, for example, like the integrated apps, like Twitch and stuff like that, which has become a big part of gaming, which has become a big part of just the general atmosphere. The industry is Twitch and YouTube gaming and all that stuff. And when you don't have something that's built in as far as apps and stuff like that goes, it can create some distance from the other competitors. And that's what Microsoft and Sony did from the very beginning. Also, game capture and recording hardware. I think that's very important. I understand that you can buy your own, but those are also very expensive to buy your own game capturing equipment. The fact that people can do it right there from their console, even have audio recording and even cut it up and do different things. Yes, it's not as good as using your own Adobe Pro or Power Director or your own software, but for people who don't have that stuff and just want to create some quick gameplay clips for their YouTube channel or for their Facebook page or something like that, it's amazing. And I think it's a great feature. And I think it's stuff like that that Nintendo just really didn't think about, which is causing their fan base to dwindle. Because if you think about it, you're all in competition with each other. You have these consoles that are all putting out these different types of cool things and say, hey, we have this, and this. You know, and Nintendo says, oh, well, we have a gamepad that we use sometimes in our games. And our online infrastructure isn't the best. You can't really do voice chat in a lot of games. We don't really like to do that. Sending messages is a problem. You got to boot up this other thing. And guess what? We also don't have a lot of third-party support either. But we have great first-party games. And I think people just end up just saying, I'm going to opt for the other ones, especially if money's tight. So I don't want to turn this into a railing on Nintendo thing. I think Nintendo does a fantastic job with lots of stuff. For example, their first-party software development is so good. I think Super Smash Bros. For Wii U is one of the most amazing games I've ever played. I think Bayonetta, certain games on the Wii U run really great. But I was watching a video from Super Metal Dave the other day, and one of the things that he said is that the Wii U is really good if you're just playing by yourself or if you're playing with a group of friends in the same room. But once you start talking about online, that's where things get sketchy. And if you look at the atmosphere as far as what third-party developers want, and as far as what people want in games, the majority of people, as far as who's buying content, they want great online play, they want great online features, and they want systems that are very capable and can do a lot. And that's where Nintendo is lacking. In my opinion, Nintendo should invest into online play. I think that's the one thing that Nintendo has never done, ever, really. They've done some investments here. Don't get me wrong, they have done online play before. Heck, they even tried it a long time ago on the Super Nintendo. But the issue with this is that Nintendo's never really seriously invested into online to making sure they have a connected online platform with great features. They've never really done that. They've always shied away. There's a lot of games that they just say, nope, we're not going to put online play, and they just blatantly leave out online play even when they say that they can. Online play and online encompasses a lot of things. It's not just the actual act of playing online with someone, but it's actually the social aspect as far as communication, as far as messaging, as far as being able to see that on-screen notifications. There's a lot of different things that encompass investing into online play. Like Microsoft invested into online play back on the original Xbox and on the Xbox 360, and of course going forward with the Xbox One. Like Sony's invested into online play. I think Nintendo really needs to take that money that they usually invest into something like a gamepad or like a Wii remote or something like that, and invest that into actually making a platform as far as online play connected so more people can be engaged with their content. Obviously, third-party support is a big deal. They need to make sure that they can do something to help with getting more third-party developers on board. Or whenever that is, go in and hashing things out with third-party developers, talking like men and women, grown adults. That's probably the best thing to do. The good thing about this is that Nintendo has the Nintendo NX that's coming up, and there's a lot of positive signs that were very different from the Nintendo Wii U when that system was coming out as far as what developers were saying. Developers haven't said much, but from what we've heard as far as the rumors and stuff, they're definitely far more positive than the Nintendo Wii U. So that's a good sign. And I think that Nintendo's selling a little over 12 million units in 3+ years pretty much proves that they need to change things up. I think that's a wake-up call, and I think it's a wake-up call that they needed, which is okay. Everybody gets down every now and then. Everybody necessarily doesn't always perform their best or doesn't always do exactly what they expected to do in a certain amount of time. It's okay. Nintendo has plenty of time and money to recover, and I think the Nintendo NX can be that. But just as long as the fans are vocal about certain things, and just as long as Nintendo fixes the various issues that people have complaints with, that's reasonable, then I think everything's going to be fine for Nintendo. Because I said this once and I'll say it again, I have no idea how Nintendo can have the franchises that they have everything that they have, and not have a system that's self-sustaining, that they can support and can sell a lot. There's no, I'm thinking, why? How? I mean, that's one of the things Nintendo needs to also do along with third-party support, is better utilization of their IPs. There's no reason why we shouldn't have an Eternal Darkness. There's no reason why we shouldn't have an F-Zero. There's no reason why Star Fox shouldn't have been out earlier. There's no reason why we shouldn't have a Golden Sun on consoles. There's no reason why we shouldn't have a Fire Emblem on consoles. There's no reason why we shouldn't have so many different franchises that Nintendo just has sitting down locked up for some reason. I think those are the graphically impressive franchises that you can bring out to impress people and to get people to jump on. And if you pair that with strong online play and strong online features, you're going to have a system that's very, very attractive to many people. You're going to sell a lot of units, and therefore third-party developers will be more inclined to jump onto the system as the units will go up. So after all of that, that was a lot. After all of that, let me know your improvements for Nintendo as far as what you want to see structurally out of the system, as far as what to do to help the dwindling fan base. Because like it or not, guys, the fan base on both fronts, on the platforms as far as the handhelds and on the consoles, is dwindling a little bit more on the console side. But I don't think it's over yet. There's still a dedicated fan base of people that will buy Nintendo platforms no matter what. But Nintendo needs to make sure that they do the goodwill and look and see what the community wants. In my opinion, if they want to regain trust, and if they want to bring back people who did not buy the Wii U. Because I'm looking at the sales and I'm like, well, why are there so many more 3DS owners than Wii U owners? I know 3DS owners, the ones that are only 3DS owners, know what a Wii U is. They just haven't bought it. There's something that's holding them back. And it could be game selection, it could be features, it could be lots of different things. But Nintendo needs to make sure that they tap that audience, because they have that audience there on the Nintendo 3DS that's not buying the Wii U. It's not just PlayStation and Xbox guys not buying the Wii U. There are 3DS dudes that aren't buying a Wii U either. So Nintendo needs to find a way to make everyone happy, or at least try to make as many people happy as possible, and they try to do that in a way that's cost effective, obviously, but also can transform their business. And I think that they're doing that. I think they're going to do a good job with that based on everything we've seen so far with the NX, with My Nintendo, and with their smartphone initiatives. I think there's a lot of good stuff coming. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Also, make sure you hit that like button if you did like this video. Let me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future. And subscribe to PlayerEssence for more news, reviews, trailers, tips, and tricks. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I really do appreciate it. And we will see you guys in the next one. Peace.